Now, since joining a band, and we'll dive into that over the course of the next few weeks and months, I have been putting together my live rig kind of setup, my pedal board, if you will. It's centered around the HX Stomp and the Morningstar MC6 Pro, and so far it's come together fairly nicely. The idea was for it to be a small, compact kind of live rig, live setup. I'm a little bit of a dum-dum and grab a pedal board that's just a little too big, but it's still manageable. It's manageable, and it's all working together. Now, I have plenty of Pach cables from lots of reputable brands, Hosa being one of them, Ernie Ball. I don't know if they're considered reputable in this arena, but it was Pach cables for them. And then I have some Pach cables from the guys at Rockstock. I've worked with them before. I've highlighted one of their, I've highlighted their utility pedals for something like the HX Stomp. You guys have seen these before. Basically what it does, it's 2 extra switches that help expand the flexibility and usefulness of your HX Stomp. So the point is, I've worked with the guys at Rockstock before, and they reached out at a perfect time because I happened to just be diving into putting this pedal board together and said, hey, we're coming out with a set of solderless Pach cables, and we would be interested if you'd like to kind of check them out and perhaps do a video on the findings. And I said, heck yeah, you guys have been great to me. I find these auxiliary pedals to be an amazing and useful thing, and I think you guys have kind of picked up on this. I try to keep things that I talk about on the channel, you know, a focus on things that are useful or beneficial or valuable. So I said yes. Now that's as far as this type of video goes. I mean, they're not sponsoring it any more than sending me a couple packs of these Pach cables. And, you know, I'm saying what I want. We have to go through this whole thing on YouTube. But anyway, we're talking about solderless Pach cables by the guys over at Rockstock, and these came in handy. These came in real handy. Now, it comes with 10 feet of cable and 5 pairs of jacks, or 10 individual jacks for 5 pairs, 5 Pach cables of sizes of your choices. They have this nice little cap that goes on the end, kind of makes it look nice. I'll have some better looking B-roll instead of me holding up my hand in front of the fucking camera like every other idiot YouTuber. So yeah, it comes with 10 jacks, 5 pairs, the topper that goes on top to seal it up, and some hardware, some screws to screw it all together. Oh, it also comes with little baby screwdriver and little baby wire cutter to help put everything together. And you get the cable, and it's as simple as taking the cable. I'll have better B-roll of this. You just simply insert the cable. Really, you want to really get it in there. That's one thing I ran into, is not pushing it in far enough. Grow up. You want to push it in there really good, and then you just give it a bend, right? Again, I'll have B-roll of this. Put on the cap, and then you screw the cap. You put a screw in the end, and it locks everything down. And then you kind of measure out the length of cable that you need, cut it with the cute little wire cutters, and then you put the other jack on the other end. And these things worked great. I tested them with a multimeter, and like I said, at first, I ran into an issue where I did not push the wire in all the way. That was on me. So you really want to push it in there, give it that bend, and then put the cap on. Once I realized I did that, just kind of undid it, pushed them in there, bent it again, tied them down, locked them down, everything was fine. The pedal board was working flawlessly. And I'll kind of show you a little bit of B-roll on what that looks like. So what we have here is we have my Shure wireless system running into the HX Stomp, and then out of the effects loop of the HX Stomp, we're going to the Dark Sun. From the Dark Sun, we're coming back into the return of the HX Stomp. And for each of those kind of runs, I created custom lengths with the Rockstock solderless system. So let's take a look at what the back looks like. Now, I hate to be that guy doing the handheld thing, but we're gonna go for it just so you can kind of see what we're working with here. Now we're looking at the back of the board. Now, back up and show you. This is the back of the board, okay. So there's our first run, running out of the, I guess it would be the output of the wireless system. And that is running to the input of the Stomp. And what I did is just measured it, ran it along the bottom, and I'll show you again. Cut it to length, and then boom, Bob's your uncle. Now, over here, we have the return and the send of the Stomp. So this send is going to, it's running underneath. I have them both bundled together. The return and the send are bundled together right next to each other, and they are running to the back of the Seymour Duncan Dark Sun. Now this is the left input right here, and then the output is here, and that is again running back over to the return of the Stomp. And those are really the only connections I have thus far. So I basically ran 1, 2, 3 patch cables, but I was able to customize their length. Now these are the 2 cables that are going to the back of the Dark Sun, the input and the return. And see, again, I have those bundled and running into the Stomp. And that's the benefit of being able to run your own cable runs, your cable lengths. And here is the one going from the wireless to the Stomp. It all came together really nicely. It's clean. I was able to route the cables where I needed, and it allowed me to keep things tidy in a way that I just couldn't do with predetermined lengths of patch cables. Now, like I said, I do have some pre-made patch cable by Rockstock and other guys, and these are great and all. I have a couple different lengths. Not that that really matters, but the point I'm trying to make is, even if you have a couple varying lengths, you know, unless I cut this and resolder this, which, yes, I know how to solder or solder, but I don't know if you've seen what it takes to solder these. It's not complicated. It's just very delicate and small, and your boy's got terrible eyes. I don't know if you can pick up on that. So this just saved me a little bit of time and a little bit of headache. And they worked well. They work very well. I've played through the Pedalboard without any issue, and it's just such a time saver, and I definitely think they're worth checking out. Now, Rockstock's not the first group of people to put out a solderless patch cable set. I mean, they've been around for a while, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of debate in the comments about whether or not they're, you know, it's going to last long enough, or your tone's going to be properly passed through unless you solder your cable on. You can't tell. Don't act like you can. And if you can, cool. Kudos. Great. I can't tell. I didn't tell. So I used the solderless system, and it saved me some time, and it was able to customize the runs under my pedalboard. And I think that it's worth it. And beyond that, there's not much more to talk about. I mean, if you're putting a pedalboard together and you're looking to save a little bit of time, and you want to get some more custom runs of patch cables put together, don't sleep on the solderless systems. And the guys over at Rockstock, they're good dudes. And I've had good luck with their auxiliary pedals, like I mentioned before. Kind of gives a little more flexibility to your HX Stomp. They've been rock solid, and I've used them many, many times. I've used them in with my pedal boards so far. I have one on there. Not only does it work great with my HX Stomp, it works with the Morningstar MC6 Pro, but that's beside the point. The point I'm trying to make is, like, these are good dudes, they're making good stuff. I've had good luck with their Pach cables before. This is just gonna help you kind of clean up your pedal board and maybe bypass some of the frustration that comes along with soldering cables. That's it. Anything beyond this point, I'm just rambling, so if you're looking to build a pedal, don't sleep on the guys over at rockstockpedals.com. They have their solderless system. I think it's great. I think it's worth checking out. And that's it. See you in the next one. Thanks, guys.